Hello everybody. In this video I'm going to teach you guys how to replace the Digitizer or touchscreen on a Garmin Nuvi 1490 GPS. Garmin Nuvi 1490. Now Garmin Nuvi 1490, 1450 and 1390, 1350, they have the same structure and basically the same type of screws and taking them apart and everything. However, the size is different. The 1450 and 1490, they have 5-inch screen, where the 1300 series they have 4.3-inch screens. So let's take a look and see how we do this. So the first thing we need to do is remove the frame under which the screws are. This frame is very critical to remove, and again the best tool to remove this is human nails, because you will scratch it otherwise if you use a screwdriver or something. So basically you put your nails right here like this. See, I'm inserting one nail here and the other one here. See that? Like that, and then I move. So now I go this way. It's a little tricky, but doable. Okay. So if you see the mechanism how it holds, you will know how to remove it. There are small tabs here, and here, here and here, 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 here and here, that are actually like sticking out like this and like this, and those tabs will get into these notches. So it's kind of holding it like this, like this, like this. It's holding it like that, with notches will get into the openings here. Okay, alright, so again we have a star-shaped screw like all the other Garmins. We have to use a star-shaped screwdriver, size of which is T5. You could see that, T5. Okay, now we're going to open it. We have to open the 4 screws. Make sure we don't lose the screws. That's 2, and we have 2 more. Okay, now we have to, that's all it has, 4 screws. Now we have to remove the back part from the front part, and this is how you do it. See, I'm putting my fingers underneath and pulling it out. There you go. It's pulled out. Take out the screen. Very nice and easy. Do not take it out like rapidly, because you will break the cable. So very slowly and gently, and put it up. Again, you have tape here. Take these tapes. There's just one tape, clear tape, and peel it off. Don't pull it up perpendicular, because you will destroy the delicate cable. So kind of peel it off flat. There you go. Now we are done with this part for a moment. We set it aside and deal with the screen only. Okay, so in the back of the screen there's a metal frame which you have to remove. This frame is just there, you have to remove it. like that. You don't have to. This goes on this side actually, like this. Okay, so now we have to remove this padding around the screen. Sometimes it's reusable, sometimes it's not. Depends how you remove it. Okay, so now this is probably reusable. I don't know, I'm not very sure, but it's probably reusable. But you know, something you need to see. Yeah, so it's probably reusable. But hey, you never know. It might lose its stickiness. And if you are to
lost satellite reception.
There was another GPS that said lost satellite reception. Okay, so if you want to reuse it, you have to cut it here. So you have two L-shaped pieces, because if you have two L-shaped pieces, it's very easy to adjust back and forth and to make sure that, you know, they're nice and neat. Okay. Now, this is my replacement screen, which I already have. If you notice, this replacement screen cable is a little different, but that's nothing to worry about. As long as it physically fits, it should work fine. Okay, so I'm gonna cut this cable. Watch carefully. You cut just that cable, not this one. This is for the backlight. You just cut the big one. And put these screws away somewhere safe. I'm gonna put it away from my workplace. You need a knife to take out. You need to separate the screen front frame from the back frame, because the digitizer is attached to the front frame only, and you need to separate that. So this is how we do that. Watch. So basically you put the knife down and twist like this, very gently, very slowly, like a little bit at a time, because you don't want to crack the screen. Okay, so we have success. Okay, like I said, human nail is nothing better than human nail. As you can see, I'm using my nails, and your nails will get dirty. This is not a very clean business, so you know, just like car mechanics, this is something that you cannot have very fancy, nice nails if you are doing this. So I took out this. Now see, here's something very critical. If you look in the back of the screen also separates from the back assembly. So make sure that when you're taking this out, you don't destroy the screen, because there is a diffuser film in the back which splits the light evenly from the LEDs at the bottom. You don't want to damage that diffuser film. Okay? Okay, so now I'm going to set this aside, and I'm going to remove this from remove the digitizer from the metallic frame. And this, you need heat gun and the process is a little different, so pay attention. So this is the heat gun I'm using. You guys need to be careful. This is a heat gun. It is not a hair dryer. Heat guns are extremely hot and it could easily burn your hands, especially this area. So you have to be very, very careful when you're using this. I'm going to turn it on. And I'm going to you have to heat it up and then slide the knife underneath like that. So it's a very delicate process because if you crack the screen, then it's going to be very difficult to remove. So you have to, even though this is trash, but you still don't want to crack it because it will be difficult to remove. Okay, so here we are. Okay, so now this has come apart. We take away the heat gun, put it away. And this is the part that you need to be very careful not to throw this away in a garbage container because it's sharp and it can cut someone or hurt someone. So wrap it with a newspaper and throw it away. Okay, now I'm going to put the replacement LCD or digitizer. Okay, so the replacement digitizer has a cable extender, which I don't really need, so I could actually remove that extender if I wanted to, but see, that's like two pieces, one piece and two pieces, that's the extender. I don't know why they did it, but yeah, it doesn't bother me. I'm gonna use it anyways. Okay, so there are protective films in the front and back, and also when you remove the protective film from the back, the glue is double-sided tape is exposed and it could stick to your hand, so be careful because you want it to stick to this, not to your hands. Make sure it's aligned, like very accurately aligned, and it looks like it is aligned to me, so it's looking good. Make sure that you don't have any glue residue or anything. See, I could see a little bit of glue residue there, so I'm going to remove that. Nice and neat. And now I need to snap that back into this part, but see, there are dust particles, small dust particles. It may not be visible to you, but you have to clean it. I mean, cleaning it with your hand is not very professional, so I recommend cleaning it with a brush, like a lens brush. But you know, sometimes the brush will release little hair particles, so I do it with my hands. You can also use air can. That's not a bad idea. Okay, so that looks good. You want to make sure there are no fingerprints on your new screen, and if there are, you want to make sure it's not on this side. I mean on the other side. Let's make sure this is seated properly. Okay, see, what I was afraid of, exactly that's what happened. These diffusion screens or films came on this side. It's very bad. So I'm going to make sure this is seated properly. Nice and neat. Okay, now we are ready for this. You snap it all around and you make sure that it's nice and tight. Now this needs to be soldered here. So let's remove this. Let me bring the camera closer for this part. Okay, I guess that's good enough. What we need to do is remove the previous cable's tip. You have to remove it with high temperature soldering iron. And there it is. It's removed. You need to put a little tape here to hold this back. And you need to put a piece of paper. Like that, because when you're soldering this to this, you don't want the solder to get cold with the plate in the back. That's the reason we're putting the paper. You don't want a cold solder joint. You want a hot solder joint. So these are soldering pastes. The solid form of soldering paste. You need a little bit so you get a good connection. You don't have to put too much, but just a little bit. You do need it though. You have to have some. There, that's enough. Okay. Take some actual solder and put the solder on this end, on this cable. Okay. Also some on this end. Okay, now we are ready to solder it. Make sure it's aligned and nicely. Okay, so now, even though it looks good, but there could be solder bridge. Solder bridge means two wires being short-circuited because they were too close. And to get rid of the bridge, you need more soldering paste. And you have to run the soldering iron over it. I'm going to use a magnifying glass. I don't know if you can see it with this magnifying glass. But yeah, I usually use the magnifying glass to make sure I have a good solder joint or solder connection. Okay, so this was pretty good with a magnifying glass, but still not good enough. Okay, that looks good. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Now we have to put a little piece of tape over it. Take this tape out. You need to have a piece of tape there because you don't want it to short circuit and hit anything else inside the GPS. Okay, so now we're going to put back these. Make sure to clean it so it's sticky, nice and sticky. Again, you don't want it to be covering the actual screen viewable area. You have to be very close to the edge, not to come not to overlap the screen or not to come out of the gray lines, because the gray lines is only the area where you're allowed to put this. If you come too close to the center of the screen and totally cover the gray area, what happens is that the sponge itself will click the screen for you as if you're touching the screen, which is bad. See, the stickiness is not good. I'm not impressed with this, so I'm not going to use this. I will use black electrical tape. If you don't have good insulation around it, it's good to use electrical tape. So what you do is you go to the length and cut it using a scissor. Nothing special, just an ordinary scissor. Be careful so you don't scratch the screen with that scissor, because it has happened to me. Okay, so that looks good. Make sure you are not okay, that part came out good. Cut this area and this area, fold it and fold it here. Not bad. Not bad. I've done it better before, but this one is acceptable. Okay, so this is you need to put the, if you notice my tape is not reaching all the way to the end. That's not so important. It doesn't have to reach the corners as long as the screen doesn't move around. That's all that's important. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna put this back in the metallic frame. Now we are going to put this in there, and you know the flap, the white flap, to open it you bend it this way, to close it you bend it that way. So now we're gonna close the metallic the plastic tab. We're going to close the plastic tab and put this back together. No, I forgot to put this tape. I'm gonna put this tape here. Okay, so the tab is closed. Now I'm gonna put the front frame. Okay, now before I put these screws, I have to test it. Make sure that the surgery went successfully. Okay, so there you go. Everything looks good. The touch screen is working, and this is the old touch screen, which was nothing wrong with this, by the way. The old touch screen had too many scratches, so that's the reason we replaced it. Okay, so now I'm gonna unplug it. The battery wasn't charged, that's why it came off. Usually when you unplug it, it will run on off battery, but this wasn't charged. I'm gonna put back the screws. 4 screws. Okay, so the screws are in, the second one is in, the third one, and the last screw. Okay, now we're gonna put back this. I'm gonna see, this one is full of scratches, so I don't know if I want to use this or get another one. Let me see if I have another one. I have a lot of GPS parts. Yeah, this one is much better, so I'm gonna use this and just snap it back in. Just snap it back in place. Make sure it's all snapped back in place and it's all nice and neat. And that's it. So that's how you replace a touchscreen on a Garmin Nuvi 1490. Okay, I hope this video was educational and you learned something from it. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Have a wonderful day.